Welcome to the Jordan Lang Podcast. This is a space where we will have conversations on all of the things like business, wellness, motherhood, social activism, and lots more. Come prepared with an openness to learn, grow, and expand yourself just a little bit further with each topic we discuss. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get started. Hello. Welcome back to the Jordan Lang Podcast. So glad that you're here, and I'm excited to have this conversation with you today. So happy 2022. I can hardly believe that it's another year, to be totally honest. And at the same time, I feel like I say that every new year. Every time January rolls around again, I am blown away at how quickly time passes and all of the experiences that have been had. So in this episode, in this conversation, I want to kind of give a recap of my year 2021. I want to share with you some of the biggest lessons and themes of 2021 for me, and kind of share a little bit about 2022 and what my focus is going to be, as well as share my word of the year for 2022. So speaking of words of the year, I don't think I had one for 2021, to be totally honest. I was even looking back through my previous posts on social media. I was looking through my journals. I couldn't find a word for 2021. And as I was sitting and doing my reflection for the year past, I kept coming back to the word survive. And I do feel like for myself and for many of us in the year 2021, we did what we could to survive. And that's not to say that I stopped living and I stopped seeking experiences and things that were good in my life. I had an amazing year. And at the same time, there is such collective trauma that happened in 2021. And that's continuing to happen, let's be honest. But I feel like there was just this underlying piece of me that was just trying to make it through in one piece. The first part of 2021, I was still home with my kids who were doing virtual school. It was tough. It was a really tough year, not just for me, but for all parents out there who were doing the virtual school thing, who were facilitating classes and experiments and projects and everything else from that at-home perspective and experience. And I really did learn a lot as far as myself as a person, myself as a mother, and just, it was hard. It was really hard. I had to do a lot of mindset shifts and reflections and really prioritize myself in a lot of different ways that I never had before. Obviously, if you are a parent, especially a mother, that people will chat all the time at you about taking time for yourself and there's still that shame and guilt associated with it. So that on top of a pandemic, on top of living in America, there is always something, and it's hard to get away from it. So 2021 was both an incredible year and also a really difficult year. It was a year of stepping further into my true self, my true self, and learning to love myself more fully than ever before. I've worked on self-love practices. I've said the mantras. I've done all of the things. And I don't think I ever fully grasped true self-love exactly as I am right now ever before this year. So, really sitting with things like my faith, my passions, my sexuality, my quirks, my body, my truths, all of it. And know that I am perfect now, exactly as I am, that true self-love. And it's still a work in progress. I feel like it's forever going to be. But it was an incredible year for really stepping into who I am, who I'm meant to be, and loving myself fully here and now. Just thinking about that, even though it was difficult, but knowing that that was a big outcome is just, it is just really exciting to me, to be able to have had that experience this year. So I want to share with you some of the biggest lessons and themes that I experienced in 2021. And there's 7 main ones that I want to share that came through when I was kind of journaling it out and reflecting. And I'm sure there's more that I could share. And a lot of these have like sub themes to them as well, and go together and everything else. So let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first is reparenting and self-compassion. These were major for me in 2021. I know that I just shared, self-love and stepping into my truest self. And reparenting has been a vital part of the process. Nurturing my inner child and speaking to her how she should have been talked to as a child, right? Like nurturing my inner child and reparenting myself, being so gentle and giving myself so much grace, so much love and compassion. It was huge for me this year. And I really do feel that the more I focus on being compassionate to myself and reparenting myself, the better parent I am in as an outcome, because I can see my kids for who they are fully and not expect them to conform to what society expects of them, what I expect of them. Just being able to support them in a way that I needed when I was young. Just listening to them, and therefore listening to myself too. A lot of times when I would have tantrums or get really overwhelmed or really upset, I would just stand there and ground myself, breathe deeply, connect to my breath, and just go, okay, I'm listening. What do you need? And so often my angsty preteen self would come through, and she would just be like, you're not, no one's listening to me. I'm not feeling seen. I'm not feeling heard. I'm not feeling appreciated. I'm not, whatever it might be. And so reparenting and self-compassion were so big for me in 2021. Also, setting boundaries. I I am a people pleaser and I have a hard time saying no. I just do. I know a lot of people do too. So setting boundaries was massive for me this year. And that goes along with the next theme, which is communication. So I do feel like communication and boundaries go hand in hand because I'm a big avoider. If I'm upset about something, I don't want to upset anyone. So I just avoid it. I don't talk about it. I don't confront it. Everything's okay. Everything's fine. We're good. We're fine. And I really learned that by avoiding and not being direct and clear and being open with communication, calling people in rather than shutting them out, it was a disservice to me and a disservice to the person with whom I maybe had, a disagreement with, or was just feeling off energetically, or was just a toxic situation. So I really did learn to set boundaries and have that communication. That is definitely something I'm still working on, just because, again, I'm a people pleaser. I don't think quickly on my feet. I'm one of these where I'm like finishing an argument in my head while I'm taking a shower, like, oh man, I should have said that, or oh man, that was like a good comeback or a good point, but it's days, weeks, months later, and it doesn't matter. That's me. So communication is something that I'm still working on, as well as just checking back in with those boundaries and making sure that it's still in alignment with what I need and with where I want to be within my life and my relationships. The next is acceptance and letting go of expectations for relationships in my life. So again, I do feel like all of this ties in, but realizing that it's okay that I don't have a closeness with people that maybe I would have wanted to have a relationship with, or maybe it was one-sided and it just was exhausting and hurtful and disappointing. And so just going, okay, this isn't meant to be. I'm not going to worry about it anymore. I'm not going to beat myself up over it anymore. I'm not going to keep trying to force something that's really not there. There were a couple pretty important relationships that I really wanted that I just really came to accept that it wasn't going to happen. And I had to grieve those relationships, which, if you're in that position, it's okay to grieve it, to miss what could have been, but then also to know, like, you can love people from afar, or you can just break that relationship and move forward, knowing that if it was meant to be, it would have been, and it wouldn't have had to be this like really hard, painful experience. It would have worked out. So that is definitely something that I learned in 2021. I also learned to allow and release control in my business and life. Always a work in progress, letting go of control. But it was a big theme for me. A lot of things that came up or that happened, and I just had to go, I don't have control over this. All I have control over is my response to the situation. And so that's what I focused on rather than trying to control something outside of my scope of happening. I just focused on my response and what I could do about it. So that was a really big one. And it really does allow for so much more peace in life and much more happiness overall, truly. Next, I open myself up to nourishing relationships. I've always found it difficult to make close female friendships ever since I was like pretty young. Actually, I never really had close female friendships. And I really am calling that in a real way. Even now, I feel like 2021 kind of started that and brought forth it was the catalyst. I learned some things and let go of some things and really just called in good, close female friendships. And I'm so grateful. So grateful. So many of the women that I call my dear friends now are just the most amazing humans. And I am just so grateful. And I'm calling in even more of that in this new year because I am so craving friendships, true, genuine friendships outside of my husband, outside of, people in my household, and just creating this community that is so life-giving and this group of humans who can just love on each other. So I'm excited for what this new year is going to bring in that regard. The last and by no means least theme that lesson that I want to share with you for 2021 was ancestral healing. This one is really big, and it's one that I'm definitely going to continue with for the rest of this lifetime. I really took a deep dive into breaking patterns and creating positive shifts for my children and future generations. I worked with several amazing healers, amazing intuitives who just unveiled a lot of harm that my ancestors have caused, a lot of patterns that I have within my ancestral lines, and ways in which I can begin making those positive changes and those positive shifts. And a big piece of it centers around how I parent my children, how I'm reparenting myself. And it's a massive piece of why I'm here and what my purpose is in this lifetime, is to make those shifts for my children, for their children, for their children, and generations to come. So that is something that I am honored to be able to do. And I am so grateful for this experience and for the individuals that I've been working with and who have provided their incredible wisdom and support along this process. So it can be lonely work. It can be very lonely work, but it's truly one of my main purposes in this lifetime. So I'm here for it. I'm going to continue along and continue making positive changes, starting with myself and my family. And I know that it's going to ripple and create positive changes in the collective as well. So those were 7 of the main lessons and themes for 2021 that I experienced. And it was a lot. It was a lot. I am looking ahead to 2022, though. I am so excited for what this year is going to bring. I am not setting any big, lofty goals just yet. I really want to continue in this theme of winter time. It's winter here in the Northern Hemisphere. It's January. It's cold. It's dark. It's gloomy here in the United States. And I just really am in this time of rest, and that's where I want to stay for now. I do have, some things that I'm looking forward to doing, a podcasting course, a couple webinars, things like that. Again, nothing big, lofty. I'm not like, I'm going to make this amount of money or anything like that. I really, really just want to sink into this restful energy and replenish and just really honor where I'm at. Our family is recovering from having COVID over winter break. So just continuing to rest. I do want to share my word for 2022. It came to me, I was doing a meditation last week, 2 weeks ago, actually. And I just kept having the word joyful come through. Joyful, joyful, joyful. And I kind of resisted it at first. I'm like, really joyful? Like, I can't have like a more fun word, whatever that means. But no, like my guides and spirit team were like, no, joyful is what your focus is going to be in 2022. I tend to be a very stoic, serious, like structured person. I've got a lot of Capricorn in my chart, and it's really hard for me to relax and to let go and to really just have fun and be full of joy. So I am, for the year of 2022, I'm really going to be looking to find joy in all moments and experiences, and to release the stoicism and just step into joy. So asking myself things like, what lights me up? What do I like to do for fun? Like challenge myself to find fun activities to do that are maybe outside of my comfort zone, but will bring me joy and light me up. And again, this is like nurturing my inner child big time. I just, with my upbringing and everything, I mean, I had a great childhood. But I also feel like I kind of had to grow up pretty quickly, and there was always this fear and anxiety and all of the things. I'm not going to get into that in this episode, but I have a hard time finding joy in anything. Sure, there are moments of joy, of course, spending time with my children and, things like that. But I want to really embody joyfulness in 2022. So very excited for that. Being able to kind of lean into my fun, quirky, silly side. It really only comes out when I'm like really tired. But being able to play into that a little bit more in this new year. I'm so, so grateful for 2021 and all the lessons and experiences that I had. I'm so ready to continue stepping into my truest expression of self as we enter into this new year of 2022. Thank you so much for being here with me and for sharing this journey with me. I would love to hear how 2021 went for you, some things that you experienced. What were your themes? What were your biggest lessons? And what is your word for 2022? What's your focus going to be? Can't wait to hear. Sending you all lots and lots and lots of love. Happy New Year.